I know, I just love to have extras.
All right, it's January 2nd, 2024, and we call this meeting to order, General Operations Committee meeting. Since I didn't think ahead, I will do the invocation. Heavenly Father, thank you for a wonderful Christmas season and New Year. Thank you for the safety. We ask you to be with Terry Moss tonight. Hopefully he's feeling better. And for Commissioner and we ask your wisdom in all the things we do tonight. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, before I ask for a motion to approve the agenda, the sheriff's surplus, item 9B, they asked me to postpone that till our next meeting because they have some more stuff to bring to it. So that's the only changes I have to the agenda. So I would entertain a move. Got a motion? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes from December 4th. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I have no report. Mr. Mayor, do you have reports?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. All right, so under old business, progress on the roof, archives, we're still waiting on our architects to finish up their work. I believe Chairman Klein has met with them and had several discussions, so he's abreast of all of that. Same thing with the jail, we're still waiting on the recommendations from the architects on that one. Progress on the parking structure, it's moving along fine. We are still on target for April, barring weather or any other problems that may crop up. We'll talk about the stormwater here in a little bit. I'll wait on that. Status on the documentation of the historical Brown House. I have got that in my office. Anybody's welcome to come by and review it. It's just too many documents to duplicate. So I will make that available in my conference room anytime. You're welcome to set an appointment, come by and go through everything that I've got. Status on new project manager, we're still at the same point we were last month. We have not pursued a new project manager. As the budget, we feel that it's best to save that money and use it on the final quarterly projects. And bringing a new project manager on board, by the time they got up and running, the project would be complete. So, request for individual organizational charts. I think we had discussed that's a HR issue. That one alone. Concerns about the third floor dormer, fire sprinklers. We did cap off those pipes from the flood, so there is a sprinkler up there, and we've gone in and wrapped all the pipes with insulation that we're able to get to. Discussion on the completion date of the new courthouse. We've got a lot going on with that. We've got, change orders in process for the additional security needs, so we'll see that coming from Corson. We're still in the process of finalizing the juvenile lease extension. That's coming along fine. Additional testing with Turner and SSOE for January 4th and 5th. They're still on target to do that testing this week. We're still working with the furniture vendor, office images on jury chairs, court reporter tables. Final amounts on that, dollar amounts, will be finalized in January once we get the proposals from those vendors. We're still scoping out the AV, finishing that up. We've got the change order coming in for the bollards. We've talked about that in the meeting, Mr. Chairman. Waiting on the architect for design submittal and final pricing. We'll have the AIA change order document once that's finalized. Let's see. That's about it. Monies were appropriated. We're still working on the radio coverage. The RFP is going to be advertised for bids January. Make sure that we get that radio scoped up. And then we've got some questions. Now, those aren't for the committee, so I'll entertain those, or I'll take care of those later. Moving on to talking about some of the capital improvement projects. The City of Portland project, which is our grant, the non-competitive grant. Right now, the contracts have been awarded on that portion of it for the construction. The Mason's 12-inch connector went to Cumberland Pipeline. The Oak Hill water transmission lines went to Cumberland Pipeline. The Oak Hill elevated tank went to Phoenix Fabricators and Erectors, LLC. City of Westmoreland, they're part of the non-competitive grant. It's in the design phase with Heat Coat and Davis doing the engineering. That design's in process right now. As far as the regional competitive grant, the grant was approved by TDEC in November 23. We're still in a reviewing process with City of Gallatin. They've taken the lead on that. And then we'll be working with City of Gallatin for sub-recipient agreement preparation for the $9 million ARPA grant money. So they're meeting every 2 weeks on that and kept apprised every 2 weeks on those meetings. The Hendersonville Health Department, that's capital investment grant and ARPA money. That grant contract has been executed with the state of Tennessee for the capital investment grant. We're in the process of an RFQ for a architectural engineering firm to go through their process of architecturally designing what we're going to do, how we're going to rebuild it, or if we're going to just rehab what's there. Once that happens, we'll let the chairman know. Be more than happy to be involved with architectural discussion at that point. The Hollows Drainage Project, another ARPA project. Designs completed through the OHM Advisors. So that's the name of the company. Community meeting was held on November 23. It was presented, a project update was presented to budget December 23. The next phase was to proceed with easements. It's going along well. The neighbors have been pleased with the project, working on pricing with Sumner County Highway. And then, of course, we'll do the bid process at that time. Oak Grove Volunteer Fire Department. That's the one that is another ARPA project that we were working on with the Resource Authority. We've obtained a PO with Richard Grade's survey, and the first step was obviously to survey that property and see what we got and see where we're going to build. After that, we're going to do the soil and survey investigation to make sure that we do have a good area for the project. Through that survey, we'll, of course, create a legal description. Once we get that legal description, then we'll turn it over to the legal department for a quitclaim deed. The Resource Authority will execute a quitclaim deed for the area to the county. And then at that point, we'll move forward with architectural engineering services. We'll put out an RFQ for that and keep you involved with that process as well. The broadband ARPA, that's gone well. We've got the sub-recipient agreement in place with CEMC. Work's underway with CEMC. And we're also completing the quarterly reporting with the authorities on that one. EMS buildings. We're looking at the Westmoreland and White House. That's what's in the ARPA project right now. Land's been identified in Westmoreland. We've got to get an appraisal on it before we talk to the committee, make sure that it's something that the committee wants to invest in and move forward with. We're also, right now, we're working with the Board of Education on some available land in White House. That land would be free, obviously, so we're working with them. They're doing some shifting of athletic facilities up there, so we're not really sure if we have something available, but once we have a better handle on that, we'll bring that back to the committee, something to give the committee to think about and talk about. We're hoping to release the request for qualifications soon on the architectural services once we nail down the land. The highway, that's going through the highway, so I won't really report on that one. The memorial project, Memorial Park of William and Martha Brown Memorial Park. That's a TDEC grant, the Brown Trust. We're still in the design phase, hopefully bringing everything back to TDEC, back to General Ops, with more information on that as we progress. The New Shackle Island State Route 258 intersection improvement projects. I've had several requests for temporary lighting there. It's just not something that we can do. So we're not going to be able to do that. It's still in the design consult phase with TDOT. For lack of a better word, we're at the mercy of TDOT and how they move on the project.
What intersection?
That's at New Shackle Island and Old Drakes Creek Road. Yeah, that real bad where you come up that hill to turn. It's a terrible intersection.
So no traffic light there, right?
Not right now.
Has the city of Hendersonville been informed on that? Isn't that a joint effort? It's county property.
It's county, yeah. Now Hendersonville did contribute to the local match, but it's basically a county project.
Okay.
So we're still working on that. The 3-star grant, we talked about that through finance. We're still working through finance on that. They have some questions. I emailed some information out on that one. The Broadband Ready Community Grant, the $100,000 grant under Economic Community Development. The grant, we're hoping to get the grant contract in 2024. That's a joint project with the City of Portland, Gallatin Public Library, and the Westmoreland Public Library. And that's basically put Wi-Fi in those facilities. It's public Wi-Fi in Portland and digital literacy classes and equipment in the qualified census tracts within Portland, Westmoreland, and Gallatin. The chiller replacement. We should be building the concrete pad here pretty soon. Fortunately, Sumner County Highway is going to build that for us, so that's going to save us some money. The chiller is ordered. Expected shipment date of February 15, 2024. So we should have that. So we did dodge a big bullet on that one. Hopefully nothing's going to happen between now and then, knock on wood. Talked about jail roof, talked about the archives. We got the bids in on the Gallatin floor, library flooring. We should provide a notice of award in January. We're just waiting on finance. There were some issues with a couple of bids. There was only 2 bidders on it. And so finance is clearing up some issues on the bids. Okay. Got a question for you. If you look at the ARPA projects, if everybody's got that listing in front of them.
Separate paper or in package?
I don't know if it's in your packet or not. But the listing of the ARPA is the maintenance number 3. Maintenance building number 3, $1.721 million. That was a reduction from the EMS maintenance building. And we took money.
This is the one that was going to be on Airport Road next to the main EMS.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I don't think we have anything on it here.
Yeah, there's nothing on here. The question is are we moving forward with this project? Are we going to bring in new architects to rescope the building? What does this committee want to do with that project? Because we need to get something rolling if we want to do something, or if we want to roll those monies back into the ARPA funds.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second, I'll second that.
All in favor? created a series of garages on the south side of the building that could have easy access, motorized doors that would lift in emergency. Those parking stalls within that building would be climate controlled, then that would solve the problem, and we could do it for a lot less money than that. I think that whole project was going to be $4.2 million. Half of that would have been EMS, so $2.1 million. We haven't done any cost studies yet, but my intent is to come up with a design that would enable us to park all of the ambulances on that side of the building, have easy access for the EMS drivers and medics, and then they could take off and come as they needed to, and never have to have any medication leave the ambulances. So,
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you're going to design the building.
I'm going to do a concept design, yes.
Okay.
I'm going to work it out. I was told at the time that I should run everything through Dale Allen, and I'm assuming that I still should. So I will work with him on it initially, and then we can run it through the proper channels to see if it satisfies all requirements of EMS.
Is this something we could have for next month, or what?
Possibly.
All right, and so moving on past that, we're still working on the ADA transition plan. That's an ongoing project that we do things each year moving towards that plan.
Right.
HVAC program, we're still, as they go out, we'll work through those as well. Parking lot program, I've met with Toby. Toby is to prioritize a listing.
Is that this parking lot?
No, not, this one just got sealed and started.
Okay.
So this is all the parking lots. We started a plan last year of all the parking lots, and we've allocated some money, so we're going to prioritize which ones to do in this budget cycle and get those done in the spring.
Okay.
And then ask for more money through the capital projects for more parking lots. Yeah, it'll be an ongoing project. We won't do it all in 1 year. Then, of course, the jail kitchen equipment, that's ongoing. If something goes out, Captain Canner will get with us on that. So that ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor, could you email us your notes that you read off of? Because I think most of us were lost with a lot of the subject matter. And if we have those notes, and in the future, if you could have copies made off so that we could follow you on it, that would be very, very helpful as well.
No problem.
Okay, so we're back in session. Recognition of the public. I did not ask if anybody wanted to speak. Does anybody want to speak? I think that is a no. All right, old business, item 8.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So I had a question. I was trying to follow along with the notes, as you said, as well, with the mayor's report. And I wrote lots of little scribbles and questions. And I wanted to ask him some questions, but I didn't want to interrupt every time he came on a point. Is it now appropriate to go through that as we go through the old business items? Can ask the questions to you and then you direct them to him if you can't answer them?
Sure, that would be a good way to.
So you are going to go down these
we're
items?
going to go through.
Because he touched on a lot of them. That's where I was hitting my question. Okay.
Because it was his report,
Sure.
I didn't want to
Sure,
interrupt.
I understand. That's the same here.
So, starting with item A, progress on roof and parapets of archive building, results from site meeting with architect, which was almost a couple months ago now. I did speak with the architect today, and he was hoping to have it done before the end of the year. He feels confident he will have the specifications for the archive roof. The bad news is he doesn't have it right now. The good news is he'll have it next week, and he thinks he's found a different product that will be a lot less money even than what we were talking about. So I'm anxious to see that, and as soon as I get it from him, information, next week for us, all the specifications, and they'll be, prepped for bids. Stop me when you have a question on any of these items.
Yeah, that one actually, just generated a question. So is that something that we need to get to budget as?
Have a budget amount of a lot.
But what I'm saying though, if that bid comes in, that for the proposal for this new product, can it go straight to budget?
You're talking about on the archive room?
Yeah, on the new products for the roof, for the jail and for the archive room?
Yeah, I think we have, a budgeted amount of $80,000.
We're not quite there yet. They've got to give their proposal, then we would give them the okay to proceed from there and do the design.
The reason for my questioning is just I hate for it to have to wait another month. It's coming in next week. Is it just something we can okay and get going, or what's the procedure for
If
that?
you've already approved 50 and it comes in less,
Can it just go?
Well,
Can it just,
we still have to go through the approval of the architect process, so y'all still have to do that,
Okay.
and then send it on.
To budget? Okay.
so it's coming in next week. Let's say we have to wait 3 weeks to send it to budget. The next week, that's another 4 weeks or something.
Unless we had a special call meeting for it.
I'm just bringing it up. Do we want to do it? Because how bad is this situation? I know it's been dragging on forever. That's why I'm bringing it up. So.
The building is barely leaking
Okay.
now, so
Okay.
I would not
That's
call
fine.
this an emergency.
Then, okay. As long as a few more weeks isn't going to hurt and we can get the ball rolling, then that's fine. I'll only bring it up to give you the option.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all right. Did you have any other questions on
No.
item B?
No, I
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on A or B? Old business? Yes, old business. Okay. Item C, progress on the parking structure for the new courthouse. The mayor pretty much touched on that. We will have some issues coming up regarding the new storm drain. And that's going to be addressed next week in budget committee. Now, Mr. Mayor, I have a little bit of concern there. I think we're being held responsible for something that we only have in part responsibility for. And why I say that is that property has always been a parking structure, or parking lot. Half of it was a playground, and so there was some absorption there.
A fourth of it.
A fourth of it.
That's what it looks like.
So we're going from no storm drain, all street washing drainage, to removing a 12-inch that runs to the end of the Sud building, traveling east from the intersection of Water Street and Franklin Street. And as I understand it, we're going to be pushing $600,000 to put in a new a new storm drain line, a 24-inch, to replace part of a 12-inch. And it just seems like we're not adding really any water drainage. You know, the parking structure is going to receive what it's going to receive on the top, which is the same amount that would have been received on the parking lot that was there. Is there a good reason that number one, we're going to be held almost entirely? I know the city is contributing. I haven't looked at all that documentation yet, but it just seems to me that we're getting taken advantage of.
Well, with the water line, the city's paying for that.
Right.
The water line relocation, so, whatever they do with that is part of their deal. And then also, they're gonna be responsible for repaving everything.
Okay.
So they're gonna take care of all the road repaving. So, the county will be responsible for getting the service lines done and getting it from the courthouse over to the main line.
Right.
And then we have to run that line. So,
What's, I guess,
but as far as impervious versus pervious, it's just what's required. It's a stormwater requirements, federal guidelines. I mean, you know, we can, you know, this body can say we're not gonna pay it. We're gonna tell the cities they have to pay half of it. You know, that's the route, if that's the route you wanna take, that's your choice. But where we stand right now, the project has to be done to complete the parking garage, to get a CO on the parking garage.
well, it's so new, I think we're in discovery.
Right.
And so I'm asking questions.
Right, and I totally understand that, because I'm learning as we go too. So.
Commissioner Jones.
I just really want to learn about this so that I can pose a question. So I wish I had a project manager to ask this question to, but I'm going to ask it openly to you, and if you don't know, you can ask the mayor so we don't have to suspend the rules. It's my understanding that there was a drainage from the courthouse already in the project, right? There would have to be, right?
Courthouse or parking?
I'll say it wrong. This is what I'm talking about, parking structure.
Parking structure.
So there had to be drainage there in the bid, right? All buildings that
It seems to me this is.
have to have it, right?
Mr. Mayor, can you address that? Do we need to
Would
suspend
you like,
the
would
rules?
you like him to address it? But
Whoever knows the most about it, I want to ask, and if we need to suspend the rules, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
And this was something that should have been discussed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So,
We did have this on our list for the special call meeting, but it got taken off because of the way the meeting was noticed. It was only for the courthouse.
Okay.
And we didn't have all of the final figures until last week. Mayor is still on that Turner, so we wouldn't have known the 595 figure until last week. So
okay.
we had expected to bring it forth in January once we had the final information. But throughout the project, the project manager, Brandon McCoy, has met with the city on regarding this issue. The stormwater has never been part of Turner's scope of work. It's even listed on the plan set that our site, so it is held there.
Retention pond?
No, it's a detention, it's like a
Retention or detention?
It's a retention system. It holds, collects the water, the vault down below, and then it filters it, and then right now it should connect somewhere, but it doesn't connect. So based on the plans, it should connect to the city storm, but it does not.
Why was that not included in the original?
This is not part of that discussion. Their early discussions was that, there would be a partnership with the city on it. The city did the survey work of Franklin Street. The county paid for the design of the stormwater. So we paid Kimley Horn $31,650 for the design work. We had the meeting in December with them regarding the design plans.
You guys did this last month.
The actual design plans we met December 8th with the Kimley Horn and the city of Gallatin to review the plan.
And so who okayed the $31,000?
That was part of the scope when we still had Randall Boyd here as part of it.
So it was always in the project from the beginning to address the drainage situation at the end of the process?
It came in towards the middle of the project, so that's what I mentioned, that we had met with, Randall Boyd had met with the city of Gallatin. It was probably so the city agreed to do the survey, and then the county agreed to do the design.
I guess what I'm asking though, is this a $600,000 accident, oversight, or it was planned from the beginning that we would have to address this $600 deficit towards the end of the
I don't think
project?
anybody knew the amount of scope of work at that point in
But
time.
I bet it'd be hundreds of thousands, no matter what it would be, to connect a water
But it
system.
would always be separate from the original scope.
The previous commission knew this, all along.
It was in the plans that, I mean, we've seen it where it specifically excludes Turner from this requirement.
Yeah, I understand that Turner has no responsibility here at all, because it wasn't part of the plans and specs.
But on our part.
What I'm having a really hard time with is that our civil engineer planned a settling system underneath the first floor concrete and had no idea where it was going to go. That's a major bust for a civil engineer.
I wasn't involved in all this.
I'm not.
I know that Randall Coy met with the city about 18, 20 months ago at this point in time.
So
That's
we,
where this discussion has led to where we are now.
we've known about this for 18 to 20 months.
We didn't know about the costs involved.
Okay.
We knew that this was an item that needs to be addressed.
For almost 2 years. And Randall was the one in charge of that? Okay.
This, Mr. Chairman, this is where I've got a huge issue without having a project manager on this. I mean, I understand that they wouldn't know the costs associated with that.
I understand.
But somebody in the building profession would know that that is a hundreds of thousands of dollar issue that needs to be known.
Well, if it makes it better, like when we asked Emily Horn for a cost, just in December, they said 200,000. So there's so many unknowns. Within a month, we went from 200,000 to 600,000.
I understand, but 200,000 to 600,000, I'm not as shocked as I am going from, we think we're in the home stretch here to getting hit with over $500,000 more from what we just approved a couple weeks ago.
Well, in here again, if we've known about this for 18 to 20 months.
Why didn't we know about it?
I don't know.
We should have known that there's a charge coming up that we need to budget for.
Right.
This committee should have known something's going to hit us. We don't know how much it's going to be, but this is a big project. Maybe somebody at this table would have some expertise in that to know it is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, and it could be worse because nobody knows what's in Franklin Road. I mean, there's sewer in there. There's water that's going to be moved. That road is over 100 years old, and we just don't know what's in it. But with the storm drain, we have to connect to all of the underground roof drains that are in. And so Randall had been handling this.
This is not a reflection on her at all.
Nor on the mayor.
No.
We're all new to this.
But it's about information that's not getting passed along to the proper channels, and that's where I've got a problem with it. That's why I was adamantly pushing for a project manager, of someone with some knowledge of building practices to be put on this project towards the end, so we could ask these questions to somebody of that caliber. Otherwise, the mayor and Ms. Norfleet here are tasked with going to the builder, who is, doesn't seem to be.
Well, he was not involved. I talked to him today.
No, whoever's completing the structure,
Right.
that's got to tie it in, whoever that's going to be.
Right.
And they have to lean on them heavily, and we have no liaison helping us with any of this.
I'm just confused because this is like knowing you have all the sewage coming out of the courthouse, but you don't know whether you've got a sewer to dump it into a public sewer line. It's kind of the same thing, and so I'm confused.
And now we're going to be doing a construction project that involves underground work and water in the middle of winter, trying to finish a project for the beginning of next year, open in the spring. Worst possible time you could do it.
Yeah. Well,
Turner has advised us that if we get approval in January and everything moves forward in a timely manner with the contracting process, they can finish this scope of work for the parking garage, so we wouldn't be delayed on opening the parking garage. If we have to push it another month, then that's where the window gets tighter.
well,
I guarantee you the price is going to be a lot more we're working in the winter conditions where it's slower and harder than it is gonna be done in a timely manner.
We're speculating at that point, but, I'm just stunned that we've known about it for almost 2 years, and now here we are in the 11th hour dealing with it and trying to budget money that we didn't even know was coming up.
And I will say, we know about the issue with that, but we just got the plans.
Cost,
The plans that was just done on the design of the storm, so they just did their investigation. They were just recently.
Yeah,
But
that doesn't
why?
matter, the need was always there.
The need was always there.
There was not too many options for plans, there's only a couple places probably you could tie it in.
So there was a process in there where Randall Coy had worked to get the contract in sooner, but it didn't happen, so.
Commissioner Holmes?
Well, I think that's where you were heading. I just out of ignorance, I guess. So a project like that, a detail like that Turner's not gonna handle, shouldn't there be in the beginning of this kind of have an idea of what you're doing? Because it seems like that you're for sure gonna have stormwater. You for sure need somewhere for it to go, and you don't have a plan to put it somewhere until the very end. That seems super crazy to me.
It is super crazy.
Like,
I've never heard of not knowing what your public utilities were.
so moving forward with another project, those little details that I think that we keep finding that have fallen through the cracks, that are taking up time, costing more money, I don't know who looks at those or whatever, but we might need to be a little bit more specific in looking at those.
The truth, there was nobody in this room.
Well, I mean, but it doesn't need to happen anymore for,
Right.
Taxpayer purposes, spending extra money that we shouldn't have to spend
Exactly.
fixing things or find,
I know exactly.
I'm just asking if that's something that should have been done on the front end, moving forward.
Well, and I'm wondering, back to my question about the project manager, how many more of these things are gonna come up between now and spring when this place opens, or if it opens? Because we've been told as late as June. So how many more things are gonna crop up that we cannot ask questions about because we do not have expertise in the field reporting to us?
We do have ESA, and we pay them for construction administration services.
ESA, meaning,
They're the architects and renters.
Or do they
They review all of the AGAPs and everything, and sign off on all of the scope of work. Revisions for drawings and everything, so there is someone that we are paying for the construction.
they're gonna come to the GNOPS meetings from now on?
You can request them to come.
Well, I think we're there.
I think we need to be there, I mean,
You may want to converse with your attorney on that.
Okay.
I know I can get them to provide you a report of what happened, if that's something.
Well,
I mean, we know what happened, we wanna know what's coming.
Well, that's
We
what
want somebody that's gonna look ahead and see what's missing
every
and,
month, they just kind of like Mary's both just gave you a report on the capital projects, they just give you. Randall Coy did the same thing, he did a monthly report of what occurred.
right.
I think at this point, we're ready for like looking at associated with them that we're unaware of, because obviously there's more to come, it seems like, it just keeps on, we keep bleeding.
Well, yeah, this is a surprise. So,
I don't want this to happen again with something else, so
yeah.
somebody else can make a suggestion, all I know is to ask for a project manager, somebody that looks forward. I appreciate the mayor's reports on what has happened and what's happening next week, because he got told that last week or whatever. But I want somebody that's looking at the whole project to know the punch list involved, and the fact that there's not a drain tied to the city of a major structure.
Yeah, I had assumed it was going to grab just surface drain because it was no bigger than the parking lot that was there already, so. And not that
we get a
way
reason?
my brain works.
Did we get a reason for that though? Is it because the quarter
No,
more, part of permeable versus impermeable that we're adding to it? Is that why we're having to size up and go to the main drain?
or Ms. Norfleet, do you
I
understand?
know they did the calculations, I'll have them available for them.
Who did the calculation?
Family farm as part of the design
Uh,
process.
Who raised the requirement for a storm drain to begin with? Was that the city of Gallatin?
Stormwater is federal.
But when Kimley, this is what I'm wondering, when Kimley Horn got involved, did they look at the footprint of the building, or did they look at the change in the footprint from existing?
They ran all the calculations, so I'll get them to provide all of that.
Yeah, they did.
Can you differentiate, in your question, ask them what was there previous to what is going there, not just what the footprint of the building was? Do you understand what I'm asking?
I understand.
Because if it's a quarter more of the footprint, maybe what we had was already adequate.
Well, what is relevant is it's an additional $595,000 that should have been anticipated 2 years ago, and it's not. It's come out of nowhere. And I'm trying to understand, like I said at the very beginning when I was addressing the mayor, is the county being the one who's putting in a 24-inch storm drain line, but it has very little to do with us. Because the footprint of that property, at least half of it was paved. So that was running off the road anyway, running off the parking lot into the gutters and then down the street and gets to Town Creek eventually. So why all of a sudden do they need a 24-inch storm drain when they have nothing? I understand that the city is paying for the paving and they're going to pay for the moving of the 6-inch water line. But we're paying for the vast majority of it. And we have very little to do with the runoff. At least this parking structure has very little to do with the runoff. That's what's relevant to me. Because that's going to come up in the budget next week. And I need to get hot on the horn and try to find out, I've never been aware of the state having anything to do with drainage of a private site, like a parking structure. City level, because they're in charge, I would think, of their own storm drains. I mean, I've built private storm drains. I've built storm drains that were then committed to the public affair. I've never had the state get involved or the federal government get involved with storm drains. So this is all news to me, and I'm lost as to.
And Mr. Chairman, also the, storm drains that were already there, that were taking on the water from the concrete structures that were there before, parking lots or whatever was there before. Where was the water?
Town Creek, probably.
No, they have grate on the side of the road. The water runs down and it drops off into a grate somewhere.
Yeah, the only storm drain I know of is 12-inch PVC that ran from the intersection of Water and Franklin to the Sud building.
But you know what I'm talking about. All streets have the little
Yeah.
grates that run,
Yeah.
it's running off into. So there's something there catching storm water.
This is a 100-year-old, 200-year-old town that's caught as catch can. So it's not that simple. There's a lot of old structure there.
To your point, are we upgrading their system?
I think it might be. So that's what I need to dig into. I don't mind paying for what we need, what is our responsibility, but our
Third of the
go
footprint, a quarter of the footprint, maybe,
right.
third, a quarter of the cost, whatever.
I had asked a similar question after our meeting, and they had responded back that only half of the garage footprint was originally paved, the other half was open space. Our design mitigates the impact of the additional impervious area by installing the underground stormwater detention vault that I mentioned. It
Yeah.
I may want to get a second opinion on that, because to go from nothing to a 24-inch storm drain is a whole lot of capacity. And it doesn't feel right to me, but I'm not an engineer, so, but I do know a few, so. I'm gonna work real hard this week.
Is there any action to take on this, or is this us understanding what's coming? Are you gonna propose something or bring something back to us?
Well, I understand what the mayor says about getting, an on-site consultant like Randall Coy was for 2
months.
3, 4 months. By the time he gets up to speed, the job could be
Yeah, no,
over.
I get it too, but.
And so if the architect of record, they don't have boots on the ground. They do it from a distance, or
But they have a person that's here
oh, they do?
that does the inspection, for the progress payments and everything.
Okay, so, and they're not just a financial person, they're knowledgeable about what's going
That's
on.
what I was saying, they do the construction administration services, they sign off on all the payouts, they review what's been completed each month.
Okay,
So I could get them to provide a report each month. I doubt that they'll be coming to this meeting every month, but
well,
provide a report, just like, Randall Coy didn't come to this meeting.
Exactly.
So he could provide a report.
right, and so, yeah, if it's an understandable written report, that I would think that would be sufficient. If we could get it a week before the meeting, so that we could review it, that would be really helpful.
I'll try. I know that they have like their monthly progress meetings, so depending on when that falls, it might fall after that. So they have the latest information to report.
Yeah, well, like I say, something is better than nothing, so.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If I may, if I heard everybody correctly, this needs to go to budget next week. So, are you tabling this to get your information, or I guess somebody's gonna be putting forward a motion?
Well,
I just wondered.
It's already on the budget
Yeah,
agenda.
it's already on the
It's already
budget.
on
Yeah,
there?
and I don't think we have any action to take here. This came up because.
Okay, this is a non-action event.
This is a non-action event.
So it's on budget.
Yeah, it's on budget agenda. I want to be as prepared for the meeting as I can be.
Is there any other questions besides like calculations and kind of that overall description of what the scope of work is? Be clear on that I can
Well,
read all before next week's meeting, so that way.
you sent me the electronic drawings and you made me prints, so whatever you would like, go ahead and ask.
If we have a question, could we ask you and you propose it to them and possibly get the answer on that report?
I'm going to come by Monday, come with all the information, so that way you'll have it.
Sure.
Hopefully we can move forward.
Okay. All right.
Okay, on that one.
Back in session, we're moving on to D. Status of documentation for historic Brown House, including grant documentation and full will. I believe we have the full will in here, which was very short, surprisingly enough.
Yes.
And we still need the grant documentation.
That's what he's.
In your office, right?
That's what he said he had available in his office.
Oh, that's right.
I do have a
I'm sorry.
question on that.
I'm sorry. Okay, you have a question.
How many pages was that approximately? You said it was several pages, that it was too much to, goodness, like a book.
I have a whole bunch of stuff in there. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to go through it. So we can all go through it together. Well, one at a time.
Wow.
I don't want to break any rules.
Is that something, if anybody wanted to get in there and make a copy of any part of it, they could have access to at that time? I can't foresee anything, but,
It's all public information, in my opinion, unless the attorneys tell me different.
well, the way you're proposing is nice, but I just wonder if there's anything wrong with, us just, hey, this is interesting, I'm gonna make a copy of this.
Yeah.
You're okay with that? Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, and, I mean, we'll just look at the document and just make sure that there's nothing that we can't copy.
Okay. Mr. Sittler, have you reviewed it?
Yes, and I would like to point out a couple of things. If you look at codicil number 1, that should be in your packet.
On the wheel?
Yes,
20 to 28.
This is a document that established two things. One is
What
the
page number is that?
park that shall be known as 23. So item B1, there's really two things going on in this codicil. One is it's creating the William and Martha Brown Park, and the second is the William and Martha Brown Education Technology Trust. If you read through this, you'll see that part of the educational trust has an allocation of property, how those funds are to be administered for that. But the B1, which is the park, is a separate transaction here. So there was a request made, I think, by finance for the $500,000 that we received as part of this, so that we could set that up as the separate entity being the William and Martha Brown Park. Mm-hmm. To date, that's not been received. The only communication I've had is from on that. So this may be a budget issue that wants to be discussed later. I don't know. Okay. But that's my interpretation of the codicil and the two plans that were set up as part of it.
Mr. Mayor, you know nothing to the contrary of that, I'm assuming. Okay. All right. Okay. You haven't been through the grant information.
The grant information is established as part of 2, if you want to read that, how the funds are going to be distributed. In fact, it needs to be a 501c3, and it's actually pretty descriptive to be such a short codicil on how that's supposed to be set up. What the county's done as far as setting up the grant, I have not had a chance to see. As a matter of fact, I've not seen it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Where's the 500,000 now? Who's
I have no idea.
You don't know who holds it? No. Do you know who holds it?
No. It's in the trust.
This is held by the county. Is it in the county's name in a trust, or?
The last banking information I got from any of this showed a balance of $200,000 and something, but it was in reference to the William and Martha Brown Education Technology Trust. I understand. Yeah.
So where's the 500,000? Who can find that out? Who can find that information out?
I've made an attempt. There's only 2 people that are listed to administer this, and that would be the mayor and Dr. Langford. This was set up to be
Whoever the mayor is, or?
Yes, the county executive.
Can we ask Mr. Mayor?
And we're working on getting all of the names transferred. My part's been done. I'm waiting on
Previous mayor?
We've got people that have.
So do you know where it is?
it would be in the trust.
Where's the trust? In the bank?
Yeah.
And that's the distinction I think that needs to be made here. There are 2 separate things going on here. There's the technology trust, which the mayor and the director of schools are to comply with the terms of the codicil. And the first thing was the William and Martha Brown Park. And it doesn't say anything about who's going to run that, other than the $500,000 will be a restricted fund held by the county in a separate account and used solely for the purposes of the establishment, promotion, ongoing support, and maintenance of the William and Martha Brown Park.
Well, let me ask him this way. In your legal opinion, where should that money be, that 500,000?
In a separate trust, in a separate account managed by the county.
And it's not?
Correct. At least last I checked with finance, that these funds cannot be found.
What action do we need to do to find these funds?
Or is it
that's me asking who received all the funds to begin with, which would be the Educational Technology Trust.
They have everything, or they?
I have no idea. That's my point. I don't know where this $500,000 is.
to William Brown to find that money and find out where it's parked at.
So, no, William Brown's dead.
I know.
Right.
We're responsible to the guy that left us a bunch of money to find out where his money went.
So,
that's what I mean.
So he left $500,000 to the park. It'd be easier if y'all just read B1, it's just one paragraph.
No, I just read it.
Yeah.
I get it. That's why I'm hanging up on the fact that nobody knows where that money is. It's supposed to be in our hands.
Well, but the balance of the property, including any remaining monies, I'm assuming, went to the Education Technology Trust.
That's the only assumption I could come up with.
And we don't know how much that was.
No, he knows how much is left in it.
No, I don't now, I've turned that over to the mayor and Mr. or Dr. Langford. Because I don't even know why I had the files, to be honest
That
with you,
portion
other
of
than I'm listed in the, organization as I think, a tiebreaker. And that's pretty much the county attorney's role in the whole thing, is if there's a disagreement between the county executive or the director of schools, that the county attorney will be the tiebreaker. Yeah, and that's strictly trust related.
Okay. So what can we do as a committee to find this, or are you already on it looking for that 500,000?
I've asked, and I've gone through finance, nobody knows where the 500 went. I can only assume that it got commingled and it went to the trust allocation, and that the money has been being used as part of the trust since they obtained it. No audit's been done on that.
So can we put a request to Dr. Langford? Is he in charge of the trust right now, him and the mayor?
Correct.
To find out if that money is mixed in there, and Mr. Mayor, do you know how much money's in there?
I would assume he knows as much as I do.
It's a little over 200, but it's not 500. So money's lost.
I'm not going to say that. I'm just telling you what documents I've seen.
If I don't know where to look for something, and I know nobody knows where it is, I would consider it lost. If somebody knows somebody that knows where it is, maybe we can start there. But if nobody knows anybody to ask, that money's lost.
Unless you want to do an audit, and that would start with Mr. Long. And because the money had to hit the door somewhere.
Right.
How it got divvied up, I don't.
There's gotta be a paper trail.
I think we have to ask David.
Request an audit first before we move forward. Is that a possibility? Just to have this committee make a motion to request an audit to see where the missing money is, if it is missing, and then go from there, because that's like a repeat of something that I heard many years ago, missing money, that concerns me. Is that something we can do, or?
You can do, I'm pretty sure it probably needs some.
Should we ask the question first before a formal audit, and just ask David Long if he knows?
Which we're gonna have to air the laundry all the way to the commission, so.
Oh, you have to get a vote on the audit and everything? Can we ask the question first, just to see if David knows, and maybe we can avoid the audit
You
thing?
can, but I've asked.
Oh, you've
Mr.
already
asked, that's why I wanna make.
So he would have to dig in to do it.
See where the money is, that's.
Is that the appropriate action?
You might wanna table this a month, if only to, get with David, see if he can, come to the next meeting, and
Because
I can pick his brain before then.
Because budget could make the same request next week if we find out anything. Okay,
Can I ask if we suspend the rules and just ask Ms. Mobley if she knows anything or has anything to add to the thing, motion to suspend the rules?
Second, anybody?
All in favor?
Aye. Right, we need a second.
Oh, I thought you seconded.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye. Do you have anything to add to this, or do you know where that is? I want to ask you.
It did explain to me that there's the Brown Trust, the money is in the trust, there's a local bank account, and then there's also a Vanguard investment account.
Two trusts? Or the one?
Trust, there's a local bank account where so each year, based off of the interest of the trust, a check is cut. They're limited on the amount of draws from the Vanguard.
They, who's they?
The trust is limited on the amount of draws because of the Vanguard account. So once a year, they cut the interest check to the local bank account.
That the mayor and Dr. Langford have access to.
And they have to meet to vote on that release, and there's minutes that take place at those meetings.
Okay, and who knows the bank account number?
There's monthly statements that are sent to the mayor and the treasurer.
Okay, so per the question I asked him already, there's a little over $200,000 in there.
That's the local bank account, I believe, that y'all are referencing. There's millions of dollars in the Vanguard account.
Millions?
How do you know this?
It was over $7 million.
How do you know
Mr. Brownstone.
How do you know this?
Because I am the grants administrator, and I am working on the William and Martha Brown Memorial Park.
Okay, so you submit the information to those that need to know for the monies that are in the Vanguard
I have
portion of it.
nothing to do with the trust, though.
No, but you are in the know about it.
I just know that everything.
So where it started, how much of what it started?
It started with Mr. Brown.
No, the amount that it started with.
Yeah, it was like approximately $8 million Mr. Brown donated to the county. $500,000 was supposed to be set aside for the park, which it has been, to my knowledge, and is part of the Vanguard account. And then the rest was for the technology trust.
So it's in the Vanguard account.
That's what I.
Who has access to that?
Like I said, the mayor and the director of schools get the statement.
Okay, that needs to be separated according to Mr. Brown's will, correct?
Is that right?
That's my interpretation.
They're two
This
separate.
is two separate
I
things.
guess we'll need to go back to the meeting minutes of the trust and how all that was set up. There should have been meeting minutes where all that was.
How do we get access to that? She's pointing to you, Mr. Mayor.
I just told you a minute ago, it's all sitting on my desk. I'm more than happy to
Oh,
go
so
through
the meeting minutes are on your desk as well?
everything that I've got with the Brown Trust is sitting on the desk.
Okay.
We can go through it.
Okay, so it would be there, okay?
Okay, so that's gonna help us find where the money is.
Well, regardless how we set the trust up, it all comes back to this codicil. It specifically says it's two separate transactions. So
And now it's
if
being held
they're
on one.
and if they've been sitting on the money in the trust this long, I think it's a no harm, no foul, just get 500 of it over to specifically allocated for the terms of they put in here for the park. And then everything's clicking the way it's supposed to.
Right.
Well, let's look at the documentation on,
There may be some information already there that I'm just looking at it.
right, I don't think
There's an account
it's.
involved with the trust.
Yeah, it is audited each year by CPA.
Okay, all right, and I'm assuming you have all that information as well.
I think it's kind of hard to believe that our law director ran into so many problems trying to find it. It was so hard to get that information out, just to ask any questions, and somebody could raise their hands, offer this information pretty quickly. But anyway, I'm used to pulling teeth. I've been doing it for a year and a half. We can go on.
Let's keep it on old business.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, okay. Back in session, item E, status of new project manager for courthouse project. We've been down that road.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All for whole business.
You know what, let's leave it on old business in case it needs to come up again.
Well, what are we gonna give it? One more failure?
Well.
One more oversight?
I understand what you're saying. What I can tell you, Tim, is that this week, Thursday and Friday, we're gonna be running the pressure tests at the courthouse.
For the elevator
For the
stuff?
elevator
Okay.
test. That's gonna happen Thursday and Friday. They're preparing for it today and tomorrow. And I'm gonna be there. And so we'll know something solid about what's to happen. Either we'll know that it passed or it failed,
And they'll have to make a plan to put
and
it
then
in.
we'll have to make a plan, and that will.
They'll answer a lot of the big dollar questions on that $395,000 that we were
Right, right,
put up with
right,
last month.
right. So we'll know a lot by Friday afternoon. 379.
379,000, yeah.
Yeah.
taxpayer money, that's all.
Yeah. So, we'll leave it on old business. Item F, request for individual organizational charts by department as a part of the upcoming budget cycle. This is one of the handouts that I gave, and I'll just read it real quick because it's very short. Chairman Show, pursuant to our need to create an organizational chart of the entire workforce of all departments in Sumner County, excepting the Sumner County school system, we are requesting that in the processing of the next budget cycle, your committee require from each department a complete organizational chart. This organizational chart should include the name of every employee within the department, his or her job title, and a complete description of each employee's responsibilities. Furthermore, the chart should be created in such a way as to show the direct superior of each employee. It should also cluster subgroups or teams within the department. Thank you for your help in this matter. Sincerely, David Klein, Chairman of General Operations. And if this committee is so willing, I would like to pass this on up.
I'll motion that you do.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can you provide me a copy of that directive?
Absolutely.
Mark, you got one?
Thank you.
This is just like what my job
Pass
has.
it up to budget.
You can click on anybody's name and it tells who their superior is and who's an inline worker. That's very helpful.
I should have asked if there were any questions. Mr. Harrison, did you have any questions?
No, I think it's a waste of time, just simply because, this is going to be a constantly changing document. You've basically created a full-time employee.
I disagree, but I respect your
Well,
point.
and that, to his concern, I mean, this could be brought up next week if we do have concerns to share.
Yeah.
We could bring Commissioner Harrison's concern, I'm just asking a question, next week and say, hey, you brought this point up, would that create?
Yeah, and we can bring up, and I'm totally.
How many employees do you actually have in the county?
I have no idea.
That's my point.
That's our point.
Yeah, but well, all we've heard for a year and a half is we don't want to put any more FTEs on the payroll. And now you've created at least one and possibly two, because this is going to be a massive undertaking. That's why I voted against it.
Well, and to his point, I mean, if Commissioner Schultz, echoes, not saying what you're saying,
No,
I mean, because I'm taking that in,
Yeah.
and do you want to share that next week with the budget? If that's going to create more of what you're saying, then it may not be a path we need to take.
Commissioner Jones.
We've already voted on this, but I don't see how that could cause a full-time employee to keep up with. Each department head plugs in, if somebody gets fired or hired, they just plug it in. As long as each department head has access to it, this thing will run itself. It won't take any, but I don't see it being a problem. We've already voted on it. I mean,
I agree, I just wanted to.
You asked
that's
the guy, I just told you.
Yeah, no, I value everybody's opinion.
Does this include the constitutional officers?
Yes, because you have departments under you that answer directly to you.
it just makes sense. I mean,
It's the only way to run a business.
all big businesses have this, and we're one of the biggest. I mean, it's not the biggest. My company has ones just like this, and it's so useful to click on somebody's name and see who their supervisor is if you need to talk to them, or if they're out of the office and you find somebody else that can do the job equally because they're in line with them. It's easy. I mean, it's really beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, so we're going to pass it up to Chairman Show from the Budget Committee and take it from there. Item G, discussion, concerns about the third floor dormer fire sprinkler in county administrative. The mayor's already discussed this. I know that there were things in motion, Mr. Mayor, and you were going to have some consultant take a look at it. Was it the city?
We would have to do an appropriation on that.
Because we'd have to cut into the.
You'd have to cut into the walls, and, I mean, that would be an expense that, don't stakes necessary, we wrap them. But,
Now,
if y'all wanna pursue that route, we can get some bids.
they're wrapped inside the cavity, or they're wrapped?
Wrapped everywhere we can
There's
get to.
no access, that's the problem.
So,
That's why I brought it up. The cap's the one that's a problem, but there's 3 others that are in dead zones that could freeze exactly the same. We could have the same problem 3 more times.
Yeah.
Or one major time that's 3 times as worse, you know?
I get a contractor in there, get you a bid.
If there's access to the ceiling, I don't know if there's attic space where you look over at it or get to it, but as far as police saw, they had to cut into the wall to get to it. It was a really bad job making no access to something
How many times has
that could bust a sprinkler head.
Yeah.
That was bad.
If, Mr. Mayor, if he did get a contractor in there, could we have access to the meeting?
I'll let y'all run it.
Okay. Okay, I would like to do that, because I'm still concerned about another flood here.
Absolutely.
So, do you have a contractor?
I was just gonna call one.
Okay, okay. All right, yeah, if you wanna call one and, I can talk to him, or can arrange it. I'm assuming you wanna be part of the meeting.
That's fine with me, yeah.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do it and set up a meeting, and we'll join you for it.
Absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you. Old business. Okay, item H, completion date for the new courthouse, we really don't know when that is. We can say the same thing, Mr. Mayor, that as late as June, possibly earlier.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody? Yeah, we'll know more at the end of the week. Yeah. So, any questions on item H?
Just a point to note on that testing. From what I've read on pressure testing, it has to be done in cold weather and then again in hot weather. So you won't get a complete test result until they test again in the spring on one day, because the updraft, downdraft with the cold air, hot air conditions.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask the 2 guys that are showing up from Carolina to oversee the test will be able to answer that question, so I will definitely make it.
No, the elevator pressure test, the pressure goes up and down.
Completion of the courthouse.
Fire, down into the building, go up into the building.
Mayor said they're still working on it.
Cold air pushes down and hot air.
Mr. Mayor.
That's what the pressure.
What has been signed? Okay. All right, new business, 9A, Health Department surplus property.
Mr. Chairman, I had one more question on old business,
Okay.
but I didn't know where it landed. It was just on something that the mayor had mentioned. I think it had to do with something about a maintenance facility and the possible use of a place in White House. Was that about a maintenance facility? You said the White House athletic facilities were possibly juggling around.
We're talking about an EMS station. We're looking at White House for, land for an EMS station.
That's it. And it was a possibility for,
Possibility of
using an athletic facility possibly. And my question was, did that have anything to do with, a move of the stadium or anything like that? Because I know there was some talk about moving White House Stadium into the county, and I wondered if that had something to do with the property.
I can't answer that question, I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's a school issue.
Well, I just wondered how it became available and who said it may be available. I'm assuming that was Dr. Langford said that it possibly could come available. Okay.
Yeah. And that'll be in the notes that he's gonna distribute to us, what he read off of, so we can review.
Well, I mean, I know what he said, but it was not exactly certain of what it was coming from. So I didn't know if he knew more, if that was just kind of the shorthand version of it, so that's what I'm gonna ask. That's fine.
Okay, now to new business, Hendricks has submitted this list. Because of a proposal that I'm going to be making, in item F, I believe it is. No, sorry, I'm mistaken. Hang on just a second here. Okay, it's item E. Item E. I would like to postpone any action on this for a month. If we can defer it for a month.
Please, tell me what you're talking about. I'm still trying to find page 29 and 30.
Yeah,
Resolution for
it's Health Department surplus property.
surplus,
Mr.
okay.
Hendricks has provided a list of the things and a resolution.
And you gonna hold on passing this as surplus?
I do, because it falls into another idea that I am running by this committee for movement, so.
Especially given 3 generators on the
Right, right.
freshman, I remember one there. I mean, they all say they're working.
Good.
I think the state said they were giving them some whether they liked it or not. So, this is
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hendricks? Because we can suspend the rules to have him address any
Is he
questions.
here? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, would you like to suspend the rules?
I don't have any questions yet. My question's more gonna probably land when you propose your idea. It's probably when I have questions.
Like to your point.
I don't have a problem waiting.
The next question is they're working generators, why don't we just let them out?
Well, and that's the whole point of
The idea of
your presentation. So,
Okay.
I tell you,
We can choose what to do with it, whether we surplus it out or do something else with it, right?
Right.
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll make the motion. We wait a month. You want to wait a month?
Yes.
I'll make a motion. We shelve it for a month.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules. Could I get a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Hendricks, you've got some great equipment here that you have no use for. What is the urgency in getting rid of it, or?
Spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning?
CBD, trying to clean my basement out.
Okay.
And they're not hurting anything in the basement where they are now. I'll put them up about every 2 or 3 years, we'll have a gathering, just like you're actually doing at home. I've got, in my basement, I've got an area where it just kind of collects old stuff, worn stuff, those autoclaves, and those, the buckets are actually speculum buckets, and we've gone to plastic, and no autoclave anymore to stay, probably help, and those buckets were there, and I put them in the corner, and I kind of walk around, and I put them on good deal to get rid of them, you know, my way.
Are you okay if we defer this for 1 month?
Yeah.
You're good with that? You can handle the real estate?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Okay, we're back in session. And items B was deferred a month, so.
We didn't vote. We didn't vote on that defer. You talking about deferring this?
Yeah.
We didn't vote on it. My motion is, they both second, same time. We just need to vote.
It just rolls to old business.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Let's do it.
all right. Okay, item, C, discussion on creating a list of all capital improvement projects currently in progress and are budgeted for the future. This will require assistance from the mayor's office and financial department. There's really no action to take here. I'm working on it, right now, and it has more to do with Mr. Lawing than it does with Mayor Isbell. So, we're in the process. I just couldn't get it done in time for this meeting. So if we can move that to old business as well, there's really no action to take this month.
Mr. Chairman, you're gonna lead a discussion on a list that you have next month? Is that-
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
I am. As soon as I compile it, and that should be by next month. Okay, discussion of missing CPR devices from EMS.
What?
There apparently were some CPR items that were in repair, being repaired, and this is quite a while ago, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Mayor, can you speak to this?
Yeah, I'm really at a loss on why this is on the agenda. This was resolved with financial management. It was resolved last month with financial management. These were items, they were outdated CPR devices. They went to a company to be repaired, and the company went out of business.
It was the compression machine,
And,
right?
yeah, and for whatever reason, never were able to retrieve it.
Okay,
But
so that was a loss to us.
Well, they talked about in financial management, if you remember, they were obsoleted because they couldn't get chest straps for them. So they were worthless. It's the same ones, right? So they're obsolete, and they were going to sell them to another company, which begged the question that I never asked: how could they sell them to somebody if their chest straps are not available? Obviously, somebody could have used them, but they let it go because they were obsoleted stuff. It was something they could have gotten money back on had we found them, but they're gone.
I do
This
recall.
is an issue with we're being creative in how we address the situation. I believe Mr. Weiner's been dealing with them on it, so what was in?
Yes, the idea here is that we're going to, surplus this and write it off as lost property. That's, I think, how we're gonna handle that discussion with the finance department, and amongst ourselves. That would be a desirable approach to take, because they're gone, they're not coming back.
They've been gone for a while.
For quite a while, yes, that's the idea with that.
Okay, so is there an action that we should take?
Yes, we need to approve this as surplus property, and then, we'll prepare a resolution to that effect.
So moved.
That way, yeah.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, item E. Okay, so this is,
No.
okay, this is entitled Sumner County Surplus Project. And just as a brief explanation of how this came to pass, Mr. Hendricks had a 48-inch printer, and the state decided to give him another one without him knowing. And
Good problem.
so he had the older one that he wasn't using. And meantime, Josh Sutta was having a same-size printer that was in the middle of the night decided to print a whole roll of paper without anybody asking it to. So I got the two together, and I said, hey, he's got a printer, you need a printer. And it caused me to think about what I'm about to read to you. So several recent occurrences have caused me to consider a different way to handle county-owned surplus equipment. In the county, we have hundreds of employees working in separate divisions of dozens of departments. These departments continue to change as they grow, morph, shrink, and in some cases dissolve. As these events happen, demands for equipment, furniture, and fixtures changes. Currently, our policy is to take the property that is no longer needed and dispose of it, often for little or no compensation. This is a waste of taxpayer dollars, especially when the property is perfectly usable and in good operating condition. With the approval of this committee, I would pursue creating a database within the county system that would hold the description and photos of all surplus county property. When a department requests funding for a particular object, couch, table, computer, bookcase, etc., the database could be accessed by the requester, financial department, budget committee, or any other county division to ascertain if the county already owns the desired object. This system would save money, reduce waste and effort, and potentially greatly reduce the time involved in the acquisition of many items. Of course, we would not hold property indefinitely, neither would we stop ever being reappropriated. The point is, we are already storing hundreds, maybe thousands of objects, and we don't know what we own. This system would force us to dispose of our property in the most cost-effective way possible. If you have never been through the archive building, there's a back warehouse that's got about 7,500 sitting there for years. The mayor's got a bullpen where he's got stuff, and I'll bet most of that's from Anthony Holt, that you don't even know is there.
Most of it's archived documents.
Archive documents? Okay, so archive documents need to have a place. But the elections commission has stuff in there. Many departments have a bullpen where they just keep stuff. And this would force us to be disciplined to look at what we've got and either get rid of it or archive it as the mayor's stuff needs to be done. So, if this committee is in favor of doing that, I would take this on myself to at least start researching a way to make this happen and see if we can do something different. Questions?
So the bullpens, as you said, are there now. They're still claiming ownership of it, or is it stuff they don't want?
No, they're still claiming ownership of it.
Okay, so if this happens, I'm not against it. I just want to see the vision there. We've now created a central place that is accessible to people that want it, but how do we keep it from becoming, somebody's
The
order
central place
castle?
is digital. The central place is.
So they still keep it, they just put it up for available if somebody wants it type thing, so they don't have to store it.
But one of the things it'll force them to do is look at what they've got there, and are they ever going to use it?
So they still own it until somebody else says they want it, and is there a time frame on it, once they put it on the site, does anybody want it, that it goes to auction?
And that's what we would have to decide, or somebody would have to decide, the commission would have to decide. Because, at some point things become obsolete.
Right.
Unusable.
No, I like the idea of spreading the word that this is available before we trash it or get no money for it, auctioning off. But I think there would have to be some kind of a time frame on that site that once it doesn't reach any interest over a couple months,
I
6
agree.
months, whatever.
Once I get past preliminary, then I would bring it back to this body and we would refine it further. This is just something that I feel needs to be done, and if the committee agrees with me, then I'll pursue it, and if the committee doesn't, then I will not.
I'll make a motion to put it forth, there's no more discussion on it.
So, another caption, another table, throwing that out there. So he gets rid of his caption, his table, so he would have to pick from the database instead of buying new, or is it just
His
letting
caption
everyone know I'm getting rid of it and?
on the database, it says, okay, I got this couch, here's a picture of it, and David Lawing says, I need that couch.
May not have a budget for it, but there's a free one, I bet.
Mayor.
What we do now is we typically send an email out to all the departments when we're about to surplus stuff in each department. They'll send out an email that says, hey, we got these bookshelves, or we got these couches, or pictures, or whatever, and we're about to surplus. Does anybody want them? You can come by and put a tag on it, say you want it, get it moved, whatever, before it's surplus. That's what most departments do. So they kind of have that in place.
Well, I think
I'm just asking.
I think to your point though, what you're saying is some people sit on it for a period of time, it becomes obsolete, and then it has nowhere else to go but trash. This is a lucky thing that the generators, they're still working, but what about, nobody's looking at an archive room, at election commission stuff that may be so old it's not even usable, but you said it would force them to go back and look in there and say, does anybody need or want this?
Right, well, and to the mayor's point, that's a great system, except it's a one-shot deal. Hal Hendricks says, okay, I've got this stuff I'm getting rid of, and if nobody wants it right now, here today, then we're gonna get rid of it. The attorneys who just had an extra room made said, man, we could use a coffee table or something. And, there's one on the database. Well, that'll be great. We'll take that
think he's saying it would never make it to his archive building, he's gonna get rid of it as soon as he can.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. What we end up doing is, if things would have followed their natural course the way it is right now, Al Hendricks's printer would have gone to auction, gotten $10, and Josh Sutter would have spent $4,000 on a new printer.
So what the mayor's saying is, what we do now, all department heads, may not necessarily be all department heads because he didn't do it, or other ones may not do it, right?
Well,
You're trying to implement a system that is guaranteed that everybody does.
I'm trying to implement a centralized system where people can go to it and go, I need 6 conference table chairs. Oh, they've got them down in wherever. It's a shot, and it makes more sense to me than what we're doing right now, because right now we're spending thousands of square footage to just store stuff. Oh yeah, 7,500 square foot warehouse back there. So we've got stuff from the courts, that we've got stuff that belongs safely put in an archive area that's laying on the ground.
But how much of it's not documents? It's actually things.
I don't know, because I haven't gone into the bullpens to see what's in there. I can only see them from the other side of the fence. This is all fence stuff. So it's a real trip. You should go look.
No, I mean, it sounds like a worthwhile thing. I just want to make sure that it's actually doing something. I mean, can it hurt anything to do this?
What I'm saying is can it hurt anything for me to do the research?
I'd say go for it.
It's just my time. Yeah, so anyway, we've got a
still fine with my
motion.
motion.
Do we have a second?
I motion that he goes ahead and sends the letter out. Yeah.
Well, I pursue.
You're presenting the letter though, right?
No, I'm gonna start doing the research. I just wanted to know that this committee is in favor of going after it.
Do we even need that motion? I mean, if you come up with some,
I wanna know if I'm gonna be wasting my time on it.
you're just basically wanting to know if our opinion is worth it.
Yeah, if it's worth me putting something together to bring back to you.
I think it's at least worth asking the department heads the question.
Okay. Couldn't hurt to ask. Okay. So we've got a motion.
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Who wants to leave us with old business?
Yeah, leave it for old business. Okay, this is my last 3-page document. You know, in the interest of time, and I can see people are weary, I would like to present this at the next meeting. But I would like everybody to read it, and we'll go over it then, because it's pretty involved.
Can you show which page it is? This one, January 1st, 2024, okay. Thank you.
This will give the mayor the ability, and Jim Norfleet to go over it, and all of us understand it. It's a system that most construction companies use to chart out, before a project is even started, to chart out the timeline, the costs involved, and then they track it as the project goes on. Most projects we do are not as big as the courthouse, and so the courthouse is done. This would not pertain to that, nor would it really to the parking structure. But smaller projects, this can be a really helpful thing, and it will help us as the committee understand where we're at with each project and how to address it on a monthly basis.
Do you want us to read this now? And
Well, I can if you'd like me to.
no, I mean, what do you want to do?
He was asking you to read it for the next meeting.
Read it.
Gotcha. I didn't know if there's something we were going to decide on.
It's a little involved, and I want everybody to think about it too. Because I do want feedback on it. I don't want to create another job.
So So if we want to come and make some suggestions for edits and before we approve next month, okay.
Exactly. Because I only got it to you today, so. All right, we have one more motion to make.
Oh, no,